Hey there! Welcome to Retro Reloaded. I'm your host Lance, and each week I tackle a retro game shaped by your picks. If you want a chance to choose next week's game or unlock exclusive bonus episodes and polls, join me on Patreon at patreon.com/retroreloaded. There's even a free tier to dip your toes in. Big thanks for all of your love and support. It means the world to me. Now let's hit the start button and reload those retro vibes. Before we jump into the episode, I wanted to give a quick shout out to the awesome supporters over on Patreon who help keep Retro Reloaded going. Huge thanks to the 64-bit legend, our legendary supporter Zero, for always being consistent and such an awesome supporter of the show. Also, our 16-bit adventurers, Tetrafoli and Marcus Q, thank you so much for helping the show every month. You're always very supportive, and I appreciate you. And then, of course, our 8-bit explorers, Werkin Warden, Gaming Quarterly, and Anthony T. Thank you so much for your help. Everything counts, and I appreciate your support. And then, of course, just everybody who listens to the show, who likes the show on YouTube, Patreon, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all these different places where you watch, listen to the show. Thank you for supporting me there. Leaving comments helps a lot. Liking, engaging, all these things. So appreciate your involvement. It's been really great. And if you're ever interested, there is a free tier on Patreon. It's just it's a good way to get involved. And of course, our Discord, Retro Reloaded Discord, is a really great way to be involved in the community. So thank you all for keeping retro gaming alive. All right, everybody, with all that stuff out of the way, we have another Unpopular Opinions episode. If you haven't heard the first one, it is currently on Patreon. For some reason, I have thought I released the Unpopular Opinions episode on my public YouTube and all that stuff, but I actually released a Funny Moments episode that I took from the Patreon onto the Spotify and the YouTube and the Apple Podcasts. So this is going to be the first public Unpopular Opinions episode. Now, typically what we like to do here with our Unpopular Opinions is we like to each kind of share one, and then we'll rotate to the next person, and we'll have these discussions after each one of us share it. It's a really good time. Obviously, there are going to be opinions that are unpopular, so, don't be too shocked or don't get your feelings hurt if it's something about a game that you love, because more than likely, a lot of these are going to be bad things about games that we like or systems that we like. There's going to be takes that they're unpopular. That's the whole point of the episode. And I got plenty of unpopular opinions. But with me today to also share their unpopular opinions, we got Dan. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you. It's nice to be back.
Yeah, absolutely. Dan, you want to tell people kind of what you do online and what your connection with retro gaming is?
Yeah, so I'm a huge retro gaming enthusiast, and I run a small passion project where I sell individually wrapped isopropyl alcohol wipes for cleaning video game controllers.
Yes, totally. Dan actually has sent me a box, and I have been such a bad person. I have not opened the box yet, but I plan on opening this box. This is a great case. I love this logo you got here. It's super cool.
Thank you. It took me some time to get it thrown together, but really want to hit that arcade vibe.
I was really shocked by how fast I got mine, too.
Yeah, that's right.
Small operation. I try to get the packages out the door on time,
Very quick, honestly. You're very quick. Honestly, I was the slowpoke. You're like, can you get me your address? And I had to redo my, I don't know what you call those virtual addresses where you, anyways, it's like a, what do you call those? I'm drawing a blank.
I think it's virtual address.
Yeah, virtual address, PO box, whatever you want to call it. I got that updated, and finally Dan was able to send me his wipes. What's the website called again? Do you want to give people the website?
It's controllerwipes.com, and then I do have a affiliate link with Retro Reloaded where you get 10% off your product, and then 10% of the profits go towards funding the podcast.
Yes, and the affiliate link, we were using the promo code, right? It was Reloaded 10, I believe.
Yep, it's Reloaded 10.
Reloaded 10. So if you guys want to support this show and you also want to support another small business, so go support Dan and use the promo code Reloaded 10, and you're going to get 10% off your wipes. I'm going to get a little cut myself. It's a great deal. And then
Dan is the man.
Dan is the man. Our next guest is Leanne. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Leanne was with us on a previous episode. Which one did we do together, Leanne? It was
Sonic Adventure.
Sonic Adventure. That's right. It was you,
Yeah.
and then there was another person, and then Sunny. And then yeah, so do you want to tell people kind of what you do online?
I wouldn't say like I actively do it, but online anyways. But I do like make music and draw. Occasionally, like I don't really post it, but I plan to in the future. So
Okay. Yeah, nice. So you're an artist. That's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, I love art. I mean, I can never get enough good music, good art. Is there a specific genre you like to play, or?
I mean, like there's not like one specific genre that I go for. It's just like whatever I'm feeling at that time. You know, like oh maybe I'm in like in a rock mood, or like and then the next day I'm like some synthy stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, you like to switch it up, keep it fresh. Moody,
Yeah,
like whatever you're vibing with. Yeah, I totally get that.
yeah.
That's awesome.
And then
Yeah, very cool.
I take a lot of inspiration from like games like as Sonic Adventure is actually one that I've gotten pretty inspired by in the past couple years.
Honestly, such a great soundtrack too. Like really good soundtrack. That's a great soundtrack to get inspired by. So I do not blame you there. Is
Yeah.
there like a kind of like a landing page people can find you at, or you still haven't got that kind of set up?
I'm still not really like public, I'd say. So
Okay.
and like
Cool.
I do eventually like want to get that whole thing set up and stuff.
And then
Yeah.
now, finally, last but not least, we have Sunnyside, Somerset, aka SummerSetBanjo. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm always glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm always glad to have you. Sunnyside does all kinds of different stuff with the retro gaming community, but he's also doing stuff with his Star Fox comment. But I'll let you take the platform for all your stuff.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I do. I have a YouTube channel where I upload videos twice a week, and I stream roughly about 4 times a month. I recently just finished doing a Let's Play of the recent PC recomp of Banjo-Kazooie. And aside from that, I have also I also buy and sell comic books. I've also co-created an educational board game called Paragraph Power, and I'm also working on a Star Fox webcomic. And I'm currently recruiting writers and artists for that project. And this might date this episode a little bit, but today was pretty exciting day for the comic team because, well, they announced that Star Fox is going to be making some sort of appearance in the upcoming Mario Galaxy movie. So I'm kind of excited for that. I'll see how Illumination Studios decides to adapt those characters. But yeah, I'm working on a Star Fox webcomic done very much in the style of the comic books I grew up reading back in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s. And if you're an artist or if you're a writer that wants to volunteer time for that, I'd be happy to have you. Just get in touch with me.
Yeah, awesome. I'm always glad to have you, Sonny. You're always a very great supporter of the show. You're always so helpful in the Discord, and honestly, super knowledgeable and just awesome contributor to the show. So thank you for being on this episode, Sonny.
Thank you.
So, yeah, let's get into it. So we all have unpopular gaming opinions, whether they're retro or not, and we might hurt some feelings today, but that's okay. So I'm gonna start with my first opinion, and I know a lot of people are gonna not like this, especially if you're a fan of the horror genre. Um, and I'm gonna go out there and say, preface this that it doesn't mean it's bad; it just is. Okay, it's that I think Silent Hill copied Resident Evil, and a lot of Silent Hill fans will yell at me and say that's not the case. They're totally different. They're not even fair to like compare to each. I think they copied it. I think they copied Resident Evil. Now what I will say is that Silent Hill's a great game. Okay. But the whole tank controls, the camera, the wonky combat, the only really differences that I notice is that really that Silent Hill's more they call it a psychological horror, but it's more supernatural and the inventory is less limited. Other than that, I feel like I'm kind of playing the cousin or the brother of Resident Evil. So yeah, what do you guys think about that opinion? You guys think I'm way off base, or like what do I have anything?
I think what makes Silent Hill stand out is more of the. It's a different type of horror than Resident Evil type kind of does. Resident Evil usually goes for more of like more body horror, more shock horror, more action horror, and definitely more of an emphasis in like more of like survival aspects. Managing inventory, ammunition, all that kinds of stuff. Um, and usually like delving into sci-fi concepts like laboratories, conspiracies, and stuff like that. Silent Hill is definitely deals more with like occultism, surrealism. It definitely emphasizes more horror in terms of environment and sound rather than actual like shock and stuff. Sometimes the scariest moments in a Silent Hill game is not when you're fighting a monster, it's when you're not fighting a monster.
Right. Yeah, and I kind of feel that maybe in the later games they kind of find their own way. Like, I'm talking about maybe even like Silent Hill 2
Yeah.
or 3. They kind of find their own niche where it's like, okay, we're not a clone of Resident Evil. We've actually got something here that we want to like really emphasize. But I felt with that first game, it was like wasn't a copy paste because that's going too far, but I think they copied a lot from. It was very, very, very heavily influenced. And I wonder, as you said, it's very different as far as what they tried to do to scare the person. I think like maybe it was more about atmosphere, but I don't know. Resident Evil has some really horrifying atmosphere as well with the mansion, and it's just not so supernatural. It's more like they try to set it in biology with the creatures, evolving with the virus rather than like some demons or something like Silent Hill does. Yeah. Any of you guys played both games, or am I the only one who's played both, or?
Uh, I've wanted to play the Resident Evil series, but like it's just never happened for like whatever reason.
Okay.
And then
I
like
mean,
and then for Silent Hill, just never been interested. But I do at least
Okay.
want to play the Resident Evil games at some point.
All
so
right.
I'm like currently playing through the Resident Evil games, and I haven't played Silent Hill yet. It's in my backlog, but from my understanding, it was like Konami's answer to Capcom's successful franchise, but it was also a new genre basically at the time. Like I know you could argue there was like the NES game made by the same director, or Alone in the Dark was also cited a lot for like founding the genre, but Resident Evil kind of perfected it, and it would make sense that other people would like. Sonic's relatively similar to Mario because they're both platformers, even though they bend a lot of the conventions. And I haven't played it yet, but to my understanding, that was what Silent Hill was to the survival horror franchise.
Yeah. I feel like people might when I say something like it copies RE. I think people might think that takes away from the game, like it's like less valuable or that it's a worse game, but that's not what this opinion is. Like I think it's a really good game, and I would argue that Silent Hill does things better than Resident Evil in certain aspects. In that it can stand alone on its own 2 feet, but it's just people get inspiration from popular games. That's how games work. People see a great game, and then like someone's like, I want to make something like that, and they kind of put their own spin on it. And I think that's what Silent Hill was, like you were kind of suggesting. So yeah, yeah. So since we all haven't played both games, I think this is kind of where I would kind of leave the opinion. Um, And we'll go on to the next person, and we'll start from the top of the Discord chat here with Dan.
Oh boy. All right. So one of the ones that I've always held ever since like I was a kid, I always really liked the water temple from Ocarina of Time. I wouldn't say it's like my
Oh,
favorite dungeon in the franchise, but it's probably in my top 5.
get your pitchforks. Get your pitchforks. The water temple.
Well,
Okay.
like
Nice.
I don't know, it's just
Yeah.
I go to Zelda for the hard puzzles, and I think Majora's Mask kind of had the best dungeons in the franchise. Like I would say Stone Tower is probably the best one. But
Hmm.
I really like the getting lost for a while and trying to like figure it out with only so many clues as to how to move the rooms to the right direction or raise or lower the water level, or like that's why I go to Zelda. So getting stuck
Okay.
in the water dungeon for a couple hours looking for that key in the center tower that I walked right on top of probably 8 times in a row, like those little aha moments are why I go to that genre. Comparable to like
Okay.
people play Dark Souls to beat the boss after losing a lot.
Mm.
Yeah. 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 So you
But
feel like the Zelda genre is kind of it embodies the puzzle genre in a subgenre in a way where it's like, yeah, I'm in this place and I'm supposed to kind of figure it out, and that's what the water temple is like you're figuring out the puzzle to the water temple, right?
Exactly. Like I would also say that Oracle of Ages is probably one of my favorite 2D Zelda games for the same reason. Like the dungeons are notoriously hard, but they're hard on purpose. They're like supposed to be challenging. And that's not to
I
say I don't like some of the later ones or anything. I have a personal preference where I like the really hard dungeons.
Yeah. I'm so glad you mentioned Oracle of Ages because I also hate the water temple in both Oracle of Ages and I does Seasons have one? I know Ages does. It has like Jabu Jabus
Oh,
and then it has like a mermaid's cave or something.
oh, Mermaid's Cave was terrible. I will not defend that one. But like the Sword and Shield dungeon where you had like the lava and the ice in the same place and you had to like drop the elements through the floors, like that stuff's amazing. In the water temple, running past that stupid key in the center tower, frantically looking for the last key. I mean, like it was heavy-handed, but compared to like the linearity of the Shadow Temple, or everybody loves the Forest Temple, but everybody knows that you get yanked back to start at least twice your first time playing that dungeon,
Not gonna lie,
and like
Forest Temple is not my favorite. I had to backtrack so much the last time I played.
it's not one of my favorites either. Like, but of everyone, a lot of people cite that one as one of the goats, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm not saying the water temple's amazing. It's a personal opinion thing, but like I'd rather get lost in the water temple where at least it's my own fault versus getting drop attacked from the ceiling and restarting.
I've
Right?
always had bad experience with Zelda temples, even with like the Great Deku Tree, so I don't really like any of them. Except maybe Ganon's Castle. I actually kind of like Ganon's Castle in Ocarina.
I think
Yeah,
I'm safe
Ganon's
from the
Castle.
pitchforks now.
Yeah, Ganon's cat. Yeah, right. Ganon's castle is like very, very straightforward, right? It's like you're defeat enemies and you're going up a tower or something. Um, with the Great Deco Tree, I mean, as a kid, I can see getting lost in it. As an adult, feel like it's pretty easy. I like the Fire Temple. That one is easy for me, but I feel like it's not so easy where it's I don't know, like that's a good happy medium for me. Um, yeah, I don't know. I respect the opinion, Dan, but I that water temple when if I get stuck not finding a key for like 30 minutes, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, what?" It's kind of like Castlevania. We had that Castlevania episode where you're like looking for stuff. No wonder you like Castlevania cuz that's what you're doing the whole time. Like you're like looking for stuff to find the whole time. You're like, "Where am I supposed to go?"
Oh, you're
Um
100% right. You're 100%
yeah.
right.
Yeah, and then Resident Evil's like the same thing, right? It's like, okay, I gotta like find where this key goes in my mansion that I like this giant mansion I've been exploring the whole time.
You
That's
know,
so funny.
you're not wrong. Like I just finished RE4 yesterday because I'm currently playing through all the mainline Resident Evil games in like a release order on original hardware. And like that's the first one. Like the first 6 games are all fixed camera angles, which I'll touch on later. And this one's not. And the game's amazing, but like it lost that search action inventory management thing that I kind of like in the puzzle aspect.
Yes. Yes. Yes, I agree. Not to get too much in a side tangent, but when RE4 first came out, I had issues with it. I ended up eventually liked it as its own game after I gave it like a fair chance, but I was really kind of upset with it. But a lot of people would say RE3 kind of did the same thing, where it was a lot more straightforward, more of an action shooter kind of. But RE4 took that and like made it like to the next level, you know. So
I would agree. Like I
yeah,
said, we can touch more on that later because I did want to,
yeah.
since I've been
Okay.
playing a lot of
Yeah.
Resident Evils, it'll be one of my later topics.
Yeah, we'll leave that for the next one. All right. Anything else, Stan?
I mean, I think that kind of covers it. I like the dungeons for pretty much every game in the franchise, but the Water Temple is the most like screaming example where everyone that plays the game is like, "Oh, Skyward Sword was amazing, but that cistern level could screw off." And I'm like, I like the ancient cistern dungeon. I like the pirate ship one. I like the levels that most people just don't enjoy because I like the challenge. I like the puzzle aspects. I like those little aha moments where you're stumbling around for 30, 40 minutes trying to figure out what you did wrong and then it clicks into place.
Out of curiosity, did you like the Wind Waker temples with the companions?
So Wind Waker is one of my all-time favorite Zelda games, and it has by far some of the worst dungeons, in my opinion. Please don't get the pitchforks. They're too easy. The only one I really liked was Earth Temple, but even that, like, it was never the same. And like I played at the same time that I played Ocarina and Majora, because like I was born in the late '90s. I had the GameCube collections, so like I was kind of playing them all at the same time,
Okay.
and just Wind Waker was such a breeze after Majora's Mask, man.
Yeah. Yes. I hated those two dungeons with the bird girl and Makar. Ah man, I hated those two dungeons so much. But the other dungeons were fine. I thought they were great. But you were right. They are pretty easy comparatively to other dungeons in the genre, I would say, or series. So, yeah, all right. Now let's go on to Leanne. What's your first unpopular opinion, Leanne?
Uh, I'd say that this was kind of like piggybacking off of Dan's take, like just a little bit, but I'd say that
Okay.
a series changing its formula mid-series isn't like really a bad thing. Like at least to me, like if a game's fun, the game's fun. I don't really care what it's like, quote unquote, supposed to be, right?
Sure. Yeah, yeah, I feel that. Sometimes I wish they would almost, you know, I don't know, like maybe it was time for Resident Evil to change, but I almost sometimes
Yeah,
wish like they would make that as like a side genre of Resident Evil. You know how they have like the numbered system, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or
yeah.
something. I wish those kind of would have stayed the same, and then like there would have been like the sideline that did the whole action thing. That's super nitpicky of me, but
Actually,
I feel
the funny thing about that, funny you mentioned that. Do you know Devil May Cry?
yes.
Devil May Cry, like that game was originally going to be Resident Evil 4, but Capcom found it to be such a deviation in the series that they just made it its own game, and then RE4 was such a deviation, anyways.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay. That is so Devil May Cry is way different
it
than
is very
Resident
different.
Evil. It's
Yeah,
it's more
they went through a number of iterations of what Resident Evil 4 was going to be. Yeah, one version of it eventually became Devil May Cry. Another version of RE4 eventually became Hunting Ground. Uh, and then there was like, and then even after that, they still went through multiple revisions before they finally settled on the RE4 that we have today.
yeah, totally. That's crazy. That is because when I think of Devil May Cry, that's like I don't think of Resident Evil. I mean, the only concept is like they have
I guess the
horror
cameras.
creatures. Yeah, oh, the cameras. Yeah, I guess you're right. The cameras. But it's not scary. It's like very not scary. It's like you're like a super cool like demon hunter that can destroy like hundreds of demons at a time. You know, it's like way
Yeah.
different. But they're cool games. But yeah, that's not Resident Evil. I
Yeah.
think I would have been more upset about that probably because RE4 does still try to tread that a little bit in the horror. They try to keep it a little scary. It's really not, but they do try to kind of like keep it in that realm. So I respect it. And it's a great game. It's a fun game. RE5
Yeah.
I liked. A lot of people don't like that one. Maybe that's an unpopular opinion. I like the co-op on it. And then
So,
RE
as someone that is going to be playing that soon, do you recommend finding a real person to do local co-op with versus the AI?
Well,
yes.
it kind of depends. I hear that later re-releases of RE5 actually tried to improve upon the AI a little bit, but I heard that the original release of RE5, the AI wasn't exactly the best. So if you can find a friend to play it with you, they'll probably improve it quite a bit. But it's not like it's going to make or break the game. But you just might have some problems with the AI from time to time.
Yeah. I wouldn't really say don't find somebody because or find somebody because the AI sucks. I would say more or less it's just a more fun experience with people. You know, it's
Yeah.
like you're trying to survive these zombie hordes together, kind of like a Left 4 Dead experience, but not as like not as crazy as that. Um, but it's a good time. It is a good time because you're helping. Do you like co-op games? I mean, maybe I should ask that.
I mean, for the time,
Um,
I like the local co-op games. Yeah, I'm not huge on like online chat ones, but I do enjoy local co-op stuff.
Okay. Yeah. Do you
Then
have
you'll probably
maybe if
like
you
it.
yeah if
I
you can
like
find a friend and yeah go ahead.
not necessarily co-op, but I like racing games.
Yeah. Yeah, racing games can be fun. I wish the couch co-op genre was more popular, but it's kind of a dying genre. Just cuz everything is online
Yeah.
now and people don't really, hang out with each other anymore. So it's like, no one
I mean, like
socializes.
all my friends are online purely.
Yes, that's it, and that's a very common thing for people these days. And even though I have a lot of IRL friends, it's just more convenient because we all live in different towns for us to do online stuff, And
Yeah.
as much as we would love to do the old LAN party thing where each of us grabs our computer and sits in a room, and that's a lot of fun, but it's not very easy to do.
Yeah,
So.
it's not very convenient.
Yeah, very not very convenient. We do a Smash Brothers thing, like, well, the guy who does it, he had a baby, but we do Smash Brothers like tournament or Mario Kart once in a while, like once every couple months, and it's a lot of fun. It's a great time. We did Halo too. I got my butt kicked. I suck at Halo. Um, but it was really, really just kind of reminiscent of that time, where we're all sitting together and just hanging out. Except for we're all older now, like, not as rowdy. We don't stay up late. We're like, dang, it's 10 o'clock. It's time to go. We're tired. But yeah, awesome. Yeah. So, did you have a opinion other than the piggyback thing, Leanne?
That was pretty much it. Like I can bring up
Okay.
like some more examples of like a series like changing its formula.
Totally. Yeah.
Uh, uh, Sonic, for example, like I was in the Sonic Adventure video, so
Oh,
uh,
Sonic.
in 2006, Sega released a game called Sonic the Hedgehog. It's the same name as the very first game on Genesis, but whatever. It's more commonly known as Sonic '06. That game like bombed, like it was really awful. And then
Yeah.
after Sonic '06, they went back to the drawing board a little bit, and like I feel like it was like a combination of one '06 just sucking and like really negatively reviewed, and also we've had several games in a row where like from Sonic Adventure all the way to Sonic '06, it's been the same gameplay formula where it's like take the 2D Sonic games and then like translate them to 3D.
Yeah.
So with their next game, Sonic Unleashed, they did something new where it's like you have a meter and like you can press a button to like go instantly fast. It was called the boost formula.
Okay. That sounds. I mean, you want to go fast as Sonic. That's kind of the point of the
Yeah,
whole character. Uh, so yeah, I know a lot of people were against the jump from 2D to 3D, and maybe I don't know if that opinion still lingers a lot, where people are like 2D Sonic games are the only good games. Do you guys know
Not
if that's
really.
okay? No, it's not
That's
really
not
okay.
that's not really the opinion anymore. It's kind of shifted since then.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I wonder because maybe it's just a bunch of boomers that think that, and a lot of
Yeah.
us in the Discord are boomers, so I get it, but I'm sitting at the ripe age of 35. I'm on my way. So, yeah. I sometimes find myself to be like that where I'm like, "Oh, this I don't like change," and then I have to kind of like play something and I'm like, "Okay, it's not so bad, I guess," but um
I don't know. It's like
yeah.
if I have fun playing a game, then I'll just play it. Like I don't
Yeah.
care. I don't really care about any preconceived notions about like, oh, this game's like awful and like the worst game in the series. But like, no,
Yeah.
if I have fun, I will play it.
Yeah, I think it's just expectations. People have expectations, and when those get broken, people,
Yeah.
you don't go. For example, you wouldn't, let's say, play like Call of Duty to get a Resident Evil experience, and then like all of a sudden
Yeah.
the next Resident Evil is like Call of Duty. You're like, wait a minute, what am I playing here?
RE6.
What is
Yeah,
this?
yeah, it's RE6. That's
Oh,
exactly.
RE6.
That's exactly it. And it's funny that Resident Evil keeps getting brought up, but because I keep bringing it up, but it wraps it back around to like 7, where they go straight back into the like. It's just first person horror. Like it's not the camera angle thing, but it's like complete. Just like it's gonna try to scare you. That's like the whole
Yeah.
point of the game.
So like, is it
Which
is
is
it kind of like RE4?
yeah, no, yeah. I don't know. I think it's more. I don't know.
Because I've never played it.
It's It's not really like RE. Oh, okay. It's not really like RE4. I would almost say, and this is kind of a weird thing to say, but I think it's closer to the original games as far as atmosphere goes than RE4 is. I don't know. Maybe that's completely wrong. Maybe that's an unpopular opinion. I don't know. People are like, you're crazy. But RE4, like if you renamed these games and you put RE4, RE5, and RE6 in its own category, 1 through 3 in its own category, and like 7 through 9 in its own category, you'd be like, maybe 9 is kind of like a mix, but like you would be like, these are completely different games if they had different names. You wouldn't even
Yeah.
know they were like part of the same genre or series at all. And that could be, now again, they're each of them are good games in their own right, but people have expectations. So I kind of, if anybody's listening to this episode, I want to hear your opinions on whether it was a good change or not. Like I'm kind of curious. Like any comments. So
So this might be
I
fractaling, but this is what I really miss about like dedicated handhelds is a lot of these franchises when they would like pivot or change direction, which I would think evolution's a good thing, right? But like you said, there's expectations. So like for a very long time, 2D Zelda games were just handheld games. So like even though, 4, 5, 6 games in a row were all 3D on the home consoles, you still had something for the old fans. And since we
yes,
started going into like one dedicated ecosystem for each manufacturer, we kind of lost that, I don't know, biscuit, treat, whatever you want to call it.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I agree. Like, yeah, they always kept those like the Link's Awakening, the Oracle games, the Minish Capped. They had these kind of like 2D, and even the Spirit Tracks, and I think those were, even though they were 3D graphics, they kind of had the same vibe of a 2D game, right? Um, so they were covering their bases, like you're kind of saying, like they didn't like forget about that audience at that time, and
Right.
they
Yeah.
also had the 3D audience.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, I wish more franchises still did that because, like, Castlevania did that for a while. In the early 2000s, all the money went towards the 3D games, and then like the handheld games, they just kept doing the Symphony of the Night thing.
Yeah.
Like a lot of franchises used to do that stuff, and I think since we've moved into like one dedicated ecosystem, we kind of lost that support the whole fan base thing, and they just kind of moved towards either the artistic direction or where the money is depending on the manufacturer and slash or publisher.
Yeah. I do know there are some indie games that try to pick up the spirit of older games sometimes, and I appreciate them.
Yeah.
Obviously, indie games are most of the time lower budget, and they don't have as much time, but some of them are really good. Some people turns out great. So
Yeah.
thank you, indie
And I
developers.
wouldn't I
Yeah.
wouldn't say that the lower budget would like mean that that the game is like of a lower quality or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
I
like
mean, yeah.
there's this one indie game that I played kind of a while ago called Pizza Tower. It's a spiritual successor to the Wario Land games, where it's like it goes back to the roots of Wario Land 4, but like puts it on crack, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. There is if an indie game developer, has a knack for it, has a talent and has a passion, they can make a great game. It just, sometimes time is of the essence. They don't have millions of dollars. It's not their full-time job a lot of the time. It's
Yeah.
like they're doing it on the side, and you know, so it might take longer. But yeah, sometimes they can make games even better than AAA games. It's just really depends on the developer. But then you're gonna also get a lot of like I'm not a lot. Let's say a lot of indie games that maybe aren't I don't without being rude, like that aren't up to
Yeah.
par, you would say, or like what you would think you would get out of a video game. And that's okay because a lot of them are like people's first games or second games, part-time job, like I said. But then you get the ones like Hollow Knight that are so popular. And I didn't play Schedule One, but we're kind of on an off tangent here. Let's go on to the next
Yeah.
unpopular opinion. How about Somerset Banjo Sunnyside?
Yes, yes. Okay. So I don't know which part of this is going to be the more unpopular part. The fact that I actually like the Mario Party games and I have fun playing them, or the fact that I think that Mario Party 2 and 5 are the best ones in the series.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
hold up.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I just 5.
Yeah, I really like 5.
Okay,
You're
what do you
gonna
like
have to
about
state your
5?
case, sir.
Well, first of all, it kind of goes back to how things were with the first two Mario parties, where they actually have more creative and better visually appealing looking boards. Secondly, I like the introduction of the capsule system. It adds a large amount of strategy to the gameplay of Mario Party 5, because now you as a player can actually influence what each space is going to be. You no longer need to have like event spaces just to have different events. Now you can basically strategically, if you want to, turn any space into an event space. It also Mario Party 5 has a rather robust list of mini games. Not just for the regular Mario Party mini games, but also in their different like sub modes as well. And not only that, but since the whole theme is about dreams, they bring back all the star spirits from Paper Mario, which is one of my all-time favorite games. And it does not rely on the microphone gimmick that Mario Party 6 and I think 7 relied on. So I think it's one of the best ones. It's certainly my favorite on the GameCube. And I feel it's pretty much up there with Mario Party 2.
Okay. So is Mario which okay, I'm not I've played Mario Party games. Which ones are considered the most popular of the franchise and the least popular of the franchise?
Ah,
So mostly the Hudson Soft ones, the guys that made the Turbo Graphics and PC Engine back in the day. They made 1 through 8.
1 through 8. Okay. How many Mario
it,
parties are there?
Oh god.
there's like, are you counting like the both the spin-off ones on the like
There's too
the
many.
handhelds, or just the main console ones?
I would just do the
I
main
don't
console ones.
Okay.
Maybe 11, 12?
Okay. So when you say 1 through 8, I thought that was just like all the games, but it's there's so many. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So yeah, you
yeah, like the oh, sorry, go ahead.
oh go no, you go ahead.
Well, the studio that made most of them, like they're the guys that made Bomberman, and they've always made really good games historically. And I forget what happened, but there was like a legal dispute, and they had like a falling out with Nintendo around
Well,
like towards the end of the Wii era. So then they
Who
like went
hasn't?
to a so like
Everybody's
fair
yeah, fair
enough.
enough,
falling out with
But
fair enough, fair
Nintendo.
enough.
also Hudson Soft got bought out by Konami, and Konami pretty much immediately shut down Hudson Soft. So that
Oh, so
also
that could have been what happened then. But either way,
Okay.
like they gave it to like another development studio, started making the games, and they kind of they they shook up the formula, and a lot of people didn't like it because it got rid of a lot of the strategy aspect, and it made
yeah.
it more, I don't know, party friendly, I guess. Like
Yeah.
it took out the because Mario Party, the good ones at least, are always a good balance of like strategy and luck, where you can win every minigame and still completely lose the game.
Hmm.
Yeah, which has happened to me, I'm pretty sure. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and it's taken a long time for the Mario Party franchise to start getting good again. It took until like the Switch era before, you know, they started making like some Mario Party games that were much closer to the old Hudson Soft ones and generally just kind of better in overall quality. Um,
okay.
but yeah, in terms of like popular Mario parties, the ones I usually see that people like is usually like 2, 3, 4, and 6. Most
I
people,
would
for
I
some
would agree
reason,
with
a few
that.
people. What?
I would agree with that. I've always been
Yeah.
pretty fond of 7 just because it has some of the best mini games in the franchise, but like I think 6 has the best boards. 2 and 3 are really awesome, and I think 4 is like a very nice average of the 64, the best aspects of the 64 with some of the better aspects of the GameCube ones.
Yeah, I never really liked 4 that much because I didn't like the the style of the boards. It was not all that aesthetically pleasing. And in fact, that was kind of the same reason why I didn't like 3. I didn't like the pop-up look design of it. And I just kind of felt like that 3 was kind of bloated, but like I said, my hot take is I really like 2 and I really like 5. And I know that for some reason people don't like 5, but I like those two a lot.
Okay.
Hey, I like 4, so I respect your opinion.
I
So
was
the
going to say I was going to say that I've always liked 10, but then I realized that's the only Mario Party game I've played.
okay, yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I was like one of 13 people to own a Wii U.
Yeah, so the unpopular part really is the 5, is like what you're saying. Like people think that obviously because Dan said something, that 5 is maybe a bit controversial because of this capsule mechanic, right? That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, that kind of sums it up. You lost the ability to like buy items that you wanted. They you get them for free, but they're randomly assigned. So before you could like save up 20, 30 coins and get like items to attack your opponents or get items to like move your guy around the board easier, access secret areas, etc., etc. And like it just kind of changed a basic fundamental of how those games work, which is fine. Franchises are allowed to do that. It's not the most popular one because of that. It is a good game. I
Okay.
play it on occasion with friends. I respect the opinion. It's just is a little spicy.
Is it more
Yeah.
RNG, would you say?
Is a lot more RNG.
It
Okay.
but generally most of the capsules you get are useful in one way or another. There's not any real like ones that are just like complete duds. There's some that are better than others, but there's none that I would say is like a complete waste. Of
Okay.
course, that's coming from someone that has played over probably 100 plus hours of Mario Party 5, um, but yeah, I generally really like the RNG that was introduced with it because I feel like it adds like a new strategic dynamic to the game. But don't they also keep the capsule system for Mario Party 6 at least? I can't remember.
I think the capsule system becomes just like a mainstay, but you're allowed to buy your items in 6 and 7.
Okay.
And then 8's basically the capsule system too, just with like a different UI.
Okay.
Anyway,
Yeah,
sorry. I play a lot of Mario Party.
I really only played like 1 through 3, I think, were the main ones, and I think I'm a couple GameCube ones, and I pretty much had stopped playing the series. Not that I don't like it, it's just like not a lot of people I know are like, hey, let's sit down and play Mario Party. You know, it's like it's always something else. So yeah, they were fun. Especially as a kid, I had a blast. I love the mini games. That's my favorite part of the whole game is the mini games. The like I don't
Oh
know if
yeah.
you all feel the same way, but yeah.
Oh, I
Um,
love the mini games.
yeah, they're so much fun. And they're really addicting. They're like that, like WarioWare. I think Leanne mentioned it like earlier, like a WarioWare. That
Yeah.
kind of feel where it's like it's like just this really fast paced, like go, and you hear that little go, and you're like, you're trying to pump up the balloon, and you're like, you're smashing your buttons. It's fun.
Trying to
It's
figure
fun.
out
That
the
was always one of my
controls.
favorites.
Right. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
I have a bit of a funny story to kind of share about my childhood related to Mario Party 5 in particular. But one of the first fanfics, I used to write fanfics, but one of the first fanfics I ever wrote, I wrote a whole Mario fanfic where I took all the mini games from Mario Party 5 and weaved it into my own narrative. And
really.
whoever won or lost the mini games would influence the direction of the plot.
Really? Okay. So it's kind of like tell your own story, but like it was up to whoever won the mini game.
Yeah, it was fun, and I wish I still had it, but I had it all handwritten on like the spiral bound notebook, and I have never been able to find it.
I kind of wish I could read it. Not gonna lie. I want to
Yeah,
see how this story played out. Like who was the winner? Like what happened? Who survived?
yeah,
That would make a
yeah.
good like game story. I feel
Yeah. Yeah, it could be fun. I bet that could be a fun YouTube
Mario
series or
Party
something.
story mode.
Yeah. Okay. What did you want to tell your story on the Mario Party thing or?
Oh, me? Well, I mean, I don't have it. I mean,
Oh,
I
okay.
wish I could read it to you, but like I said, I've never been able to find the notebook that I had it written down. But it was like, you know, a whole like 50 plus chapters and stuff. Each
Yeah.
chapter a different mini game and stuff.
Yeah, I assumed it was a separate story to the one that you just said. But okay, yeah,
Oh,
nice. That's
no,
awesome.
no.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, Mario Party is great. Yeah, let's go on to the next unpopular opinion, and it's gonna be me. And this one I think maybe you all might actually be you might get your pitchforks for this one because uh it's very controversial, I think, in the retro gaming community specifically. And it's that emulation might be the best way to experience retro games. And okay, hear me out. The thing is that I think CRTVs are cool, but they're really big and clunky. They take up a lot of space. I feel like some of the older games almost have to have save states in order to be like somewhat playable, and a good representation of that would be like Abe's Odyssey, where it's like incredibly unforgiving, and maybe as one could argue that like yeah, that's the point of the game, but it's so unforgiving that like you kind of feel like you're playing like a 2D Dark Souls, but it's I don't know. It's rough. It was rough for me. So like I feel like save states are really good for that. And then some older games like Final Fantasy 1, which would really benefit from speed ups, like times 2, times 3 speed ups, or Final Fantasy 2, where it's just very grindy. You're kind of grinding levels and stuff. Even like the older Pokemon Red and Blue, I think would benefit from a little speed up. And that's kind of what Leaf Green and Fire Red do, and to some degree with the running and stuff like that. Uh, and feel like there are filters, and they're not as good. I will, you know, agree that the filters aren't as good as a real CRTV, but it does kind of help mitigate the picture quality issues. Plus, you can upscale and make games look a lot better than they originally did. In some cases, like Silent Hill's one of them. And then mods are really great, and you can add new content and change content. So I feel like emulation. I'm not going to say 100% of the time, but I'm going to say like maybe 70 to 80% of the time is a better way to go for a lot of older retro games. And I'll let you guys have the floor so you can roast me if you need to, or
Okay, so
if you agree.
I've pretty much been a PC gamer for like practically my whole life. Like I've had a Wii and pretty much every Nintendo console after that, but primarily I've been gaming on PC through like Steam and stuff. So emulation is like you're not wrong. Emulation is the best way to play retro games. Like save states is one of them. When you were talking about save states, a game that I had like in my mind was Mega Man 1, with how like
Okay.
unforgiving that game is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Where you at on this?
As the person that started a small company to preserve retro game controllers, I hear you. I understand. I accept your opinion. Um, I'd like to throw a couple disclaimers. I think that some of these consoles, the technology is there. Like it is like I'm a big fan of stuff like the Mister projects and the FPGAs where like you preserve the game properly. A lot of the software emulations have like, and to 90% of the people, they're never gonna notice or care, but there's like weird little glitches where like, like the Sonic Rainbow thing, right? Like where you look at if you play a Sonic game on like the original Genesis console through a CRT, like the waterfalls are transparent because the developers used
Yeah,
the shoddy hardware and then the shoddy video signal as basically a lighting and shading engine because they didn't have the horsepower to do it natively. And
Yeah.
you lose a lot of that in most forms of emulation. Things are getting better. I love my RetroTink 4K scaler. Like a lot of the times, that's what I play a lot of like 6th gen and up consoles on. But I do really like my old school CRTs for some of the old like PS1, NES, Sega Saturn type stuff.
Yeah.
I just like there's something kind of lost, and especially with something like
yeah,
Resident Evil. Like playing RE1 on even like the ports to like the GameCube and stuff, it's not the same as like I'm sorry, RE2 port of the GameCube. You get my point. But like it plays better on a Sony PS1 controller.
Yeah.
So like I think the tools are available now where like you can emulate quote unquote perfectly for like I don't know, under the cost of a PS5, like most consoles, and then you can get yourself like a Bluetooth controller that's like a repo and
Yeah.
get like
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
99% of
say.
the original feel.
I was gonna say the
But I would,
repos.
yeah, they're
Yeah.
really close. They're really really
yeah.
close.
I remember having USB Super Nintendo controllers a couple years back. I don't have them anymore, but I do have 8-bit Do controllers that like they're stylized after Super Nintendo, but they have analog sticks and stuff. So
Oh,
Yeah.
8-bit don't make some amazing stuff. But like, yeah, or
yeah, yeah,
I didn't buy one because I have the 64. But to your point, like it's HDMI modded, and I play it through my scaler on my OLED.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
but like having that option where you can at least get closer because even like the N64 is weird because it doesn't there's always weird glitches in games just because the architecture is so wonky
Yeah.
that when you emulate the architecture and then run the games quote unquote natively like you can do now through some of these like Mister projects, it runs literally perfect. But like when you do like Switch Online or something, like you can get weird glitches in games, and especially in like third party emulation.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
if I might throw my hat in the ring a little bit, I generally agree with your opinion, Lance, but I'm going to put a little bit of an asterisk on it because, well, for the longest time, I was kind of like an old curmudgeon. I preferred original hardware and like
I was much the same like many years ago.
yeah. Uh, I mean, goodness gracious, I still have like a huge collection of like PS1, 64, and Super Nintendo games pretty much sitting right here next to me. But and I still have like the hardwares to run that stuff. But So I mean, I do agree that in this day and age, especially with retro game prices kind of going up, and of course the hardware getting older and older every year and more fragile. I do kind of agree that we're kind of starting to get to a point where emulation is probably the better, more affordable way to go for retro
Yeah,
gaming. I will
definitely.
say for a long time, emulation had a lot of problems. Like I remember back in the early days of YouTube when people used to like play 64 games. Ooh, it was rough. They it was just as much of a battle of the emulator as it was actually trying to play the game. Um, so I think it really kind of depends on what console you're wanting to emulate for and what games. Like even now, 64 games and Sega Saturn games, uh I would still maybe argue that it might still be better to try to play those on original hardware because 64 emulation, Sega Saturn emulation is still very difficult to do. Um but even so, with the release of like PC recomps of 64 games, that's kind of starting to be kind of a thing of the past, at least for the 64.
Yeah,
Uh, uh
yeah. Like
Sega Saturn,
pretty recently, we
yeah,
got a Banjo Kazooie recomp, which is I know that's
yes,
something you
yes, which I
mentioned
just finished
earlier.
doing a playthrough of, and it worked like a dream. I was like absolutely shocked just how good it
Yeah.
played and looked.
I also
Uh,
Another.
remember. I also
Oh, go
remember
ahead.
Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask getting recomp.
yes,
Yes, yeah.
yes,
I was going to mention that Shippa Harkanian or something. They did a really good job
Yeah,
with like I don't know if it was a recomp or what, but you can get like the HD textures. It's not the 3DS texture. You could do those too if you want, but they basically made it like run at like 60 FPS. It's like
yeah,
4K.
yeah,
It's actually how I remember playing the game as a child because that's how I remember seeing the game when I was like 7, you
yeah.
know.
So yeah, I definitely, yeah, those the PC recomps has been amazing. I kind of actually kind of prefer that over actually trying to emulate some of the games. But as I was saying earlier, like I
yeah,
said, it kind of just depends on the console and depends
yeah.
on the games. There is absolutely certainly some games out there that do not respect your time, and you absolutely do need things like save states and speed up. Just just to well enjoy some of these games in a reasonable amount of time. I think a lot of like old Windows 95 and 98 games are really bad about that too. But there's still not exactly really ideal ways to deal with that just yet.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, I think I generally agree that um like for GameCube games for sure. Dolphin all the way. uh,
Yeah, Dolphin is.
yeah,
Mwah.
I'd much rather build up a collection of GameCube games than spend your life savings trying to get them.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
Duck Station is actually really good for PS1 too.
Oh
And
yes,
then there's
yes.
Yeah, Duck Station
PS.
is
What is?
awesome. PCSX
Yeah,
two.
it's so good. Yeah,
Yeah,
PCSX2 is pretty decent. And then the game Dolphin's great. It's got what Wii and GameCube and
yeah.
I think some other
We and
stuff. Wii
GameCube.
emulation is really weird, but because of the controller thing, like you have to like I don't know how you get around that. That's like a very finicky thing to do.
Uh,
But
Dolphin does have like where you configure the controller. Like in Dolphin, where you configure the Wii remote, you can set up buttons to like motion actions on the Wii remote, but you can also just use like
yeah,
say like the DualShock 4, which like that has a gyroscope in it, and you can just use that.
Is
okay,
there just a way where you could just take a GameCube controller and just like tell Dolphin like if you push this button you're doing this Wii motion
yes,
and then
yes, but it's really weird. Yeah,
hmm.
I've tried it. I tried it with Skyward Sword a few years ago, and it was just really wonky. Um, but
I
yeah, no,
personally never had a problem with it. And maybe it's just
uh,
because like I'm using a more updated version of Dolphin. I'm not sure when you Lance. I'm not sure when you like tried this, but I never really like had that much issue
It was
with the controls.
it was like 4 years ago maybe that I tried the Skyward Sword thing.
Yeah.
But it was a little bit weird. Maybe it's newer, maybe it's updated, maybe they made it even better. But yeah, they're getting better all the time. And you definitely I understand so with this opinion, I understand that if you have all the original hardware and you have the CRTV, like that nostalgia hit is going to be a lot harder. You're going to get that and some of the games were built like Dan was suggesting to take advantage of that original hardware.
Yeah.
Oh yes,
I
yes.
remember Sonic 2 being filled with all sorts of tricks with CRTs. Like it used a lot of dithering to fake transparency.
Yeah. So, you will lose some of that on some games. But my premise is generally overall, I think that is kind of the better way to go. For most people.
Mhm.
Yeah, unpopular opinion though, and I know there is going to be people like you're an idiot, but that's fine, like I don't mind. So yeah,
And
um,
like I do know some people who like they just play on original hardware because the original hardware, but like and like that's fine. There's nothing wrong with doing that. Like you do you.
Mhm.
I'm just like emulation is just objectively better because like higher resolution. You can use whatever controller you want. The HD textures. There's a lot of stuff, but like that's not to discredit people who want to play on original hardware with like a CRT.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
It
and
no.
like you
is
said, it really just kind of, at least in my opinion, just kind of depends on what game you're wanting to play and what console you're wanting to play. Because I think for some, emulation's the way to go. For most games, I would agree, but then there's other games, like, a good example is like some of the later Rareware games for the Nintendo 64, they actually like hard coded their animation timings, and for like certain cutscenes and stuff to take into account like frame drops and stuff. So if you
yeah
actually like run the 64, like if you like try to run those games at like a faster frame rate,
Yeah,
other than outside of the what the frame rate would be on the original hardware, it'll actually like break the cutscenes and stuff because they designed it around like the frame drops and other issues that the N64 had.
yeah, yeah.
And then
I've
there's
I've
also the Wii U. There's also the Wii
yeah.
U, where like just the controller in general is the problem.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, I understand, like, I respect the opinion, but like there are some things that just you wouldn't want to play Street Fighter with like a Super Nintendo controller. Like it's just you don't have all the inputs you would have from a Genesis, or like I never played a Sega Saturn until a year ago, and I love that D-pad for fighting games, man. And I'm not even like
Yeah.
into fighting games because I can never get past the D-pad controls on like a Super Nintendo.
I,
But they were
I've actually.
cool.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I thought you were finished. Sorry. I actually have thought about buying a lot of those original or not original, like the reproductions of each system, just so I have like the most original experience that I can have of like the controller with the USB connection. Because first of all, I love the GameCube controller. I don't know if y'all are like that, but I really like that thing.
Oh, I love
And
it.
then like just
Second favorite controller.
so
It's
good.
pretty
And then
good.
just like when I was younger, my first system was technically a Nintendo Entertainment System, but I also had the SNES, and I just remember having that little tiny gray controller in my hand as a kid, and it was like so much fun, like Donkey Kong Country, Mega Man, all that stuff. So like just having that, like as a nostalgia addict, having that controller, at least a reproduction of it would feel pretty nice. So
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I don't even know if it's like a nostalgia thing because, like, again, I never played a Saturn until last year, but playing Nights into Dreams with like the 3D trackball joystick controller that were released with it was really fun, and it has like a weird control scheme, and it fits the weird controller really well, and like that's just like a little piece of history, you know. Like I don't try to graphic update the Mona Lisa because we have digital pictures now instead of the oil painting. I just kind of like take it as it is and respect it. But I want to reemphasize, I like the fact that we've hit like hardware emulation has gotten really, really good now to the point where you don't run into the issues that Sonny's mentioning. So things
yeah,
like like they're still working, I think, on some of the 64 stuff, but like they got the Saturn core pretty well figured out, where you can get like a $400 Mister, and it has like you tell the Mister, "Hi, you are a Sega Saturn now," and it'll just run the games like quote unquote natively and accounting for all those hardware issues. Because instead of doing like the software emulation thing where it's trying to make the game run on new architecture, it's telling the architecture to run like the old architecture, and then the game runs quote unquote natively in that box. Or at least that's how I understand it.
Yeah.
But
And
that
then,
seems to work
there's a
well.
point that you might not be able to get a reproduction for every controller type. There might be specific ones that are very special or unique that just aren't readily available. There's that argument too. Um, so I feel it, and I think if I had like enough space and enough money, I would probably have a total cave of like arcade systems and the old original, stuff. I probably would. But it's just like it's a money and a space thing. Like if I put a CRTV in this room, it would be just like I don't know, I'd have to get a smaller bed or something. Yeah. Like for me. Not but I think that's not even like part of the discussion for the unpopular opinion, because it's like let's pretend you have the availability of both. Which one are you playing on? And I think a lot of people will say the original hardware. I think they will. And I think that's why my opinion is somewhat unpopular, because I just think that emulation can be just has so many quality of lives that I love HD upscales. I really do. For not not for every game, but for a lot of them, it just you're like, wow, this game looks so good. Like right now, it makes like an N64 look like a PS2 title or something. You're like, and then like PS2 titles look like Xbox 360 or something. You're like, wow. Not that everybody wants that, but like for certain games like Shadow of the Colossus, which is a game meant to be like high fidelity graphics and stuff like that, when you do upscale and make those look better, like it makes the game even more immersive, in my opinion. And they even did a remake, which people swear by it's better than the original because the graphics are so good and stuff on it. But yeah, no, I think we kind of killed that one. Yeah, let's go on to the next unpopular opinion with Dan.
Oh boy. All right. So we were talking about Resident Evil earlier, at least a little bit, and I was trying to curb it a little bit because I knew I was going to touch on it again later. So I've been playing. I have like every year I try to pick one franchise and play all of them, and I've never played them before. It's like last year I did Castlevania. The year before that I did Mega Man, and like this year I'm trying to do all the Resident Evils, at least the main lines. So I did RE 1, 2, 3, Code Veronica, 0, and then or remake, and then 6. Or I'm sorry, 4. Misspoke. And just like I really like fixed camera angles. That's my hot take. I really like the fixed camera angles. It adds like a cinematography aspect to the game. Like each shot is exactly what the artist wanted for that moment. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like the Resident Evil style fixed camera, like God of War had fixed cameras. Even the modern day God of War games kind of have like fixed camera esque cinematic shots. Just like that, a little bit less control to the player means that you get a more artistic experience. And I kind of like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
I
Go
mean,
ahead.
I think fixed camera angles can definitely work really well. I still think about like some of the really incredibly well done visual shots that they did for like each area for like Resident Evil 2 and 3. Like they put a lot of like love and care into those pre-rendered designs. And some of the pre-rendered fixed camera areas in the Resident Evil remake and RE0 still look incredible to this day. They actually look in some ways better than like some of the modern graphics.
Yes. Yeah, well,
Um,
I think that's on Dan's point is that these camera angles were deliberate, and so they were artistic in the fact that they knew you were going to look at this thing at this angle in this certain way, and so there was a lot of intention put behind those angles. Unlike with nowadays, it's like you have this flowing camera in most games, and you're just kind of like looking for the next objective or whatever. So you might miss some of that artistic detail, I think.
yeah. Now, little fun fact. Um, there was actually when they were making Resident Evil 4, there was actually a lot of division in the Resident Evil 4 development team of whether or not have a 3D camera or stick with fixed camera angles. And so, only in the GameCube release of Resident Evil 4, there's like a Game Shark code that you can actually reactivate some of the leftover fixed camera data for Resident Evil 4. There is like
Really?
some areas in Resident Evil 4 that actually still have leftover data for fixed camera angles, and you can trigger those, and it'll actually play a lot closer to the earlier RE games in those particular areas.
That's so interesting. I wonder how that works because, like, in RE4, you have to kind of aim your gun.
Hmm.
So, like, what happens if an enemy attacks you? Are you aiming in that fixed camera angle
Yeah, I mean
during those shots?
yeah, since the camera is locked at a fixed angle, you just basically you have to kind of reorient yourself and play it like the earlier RE games, even though the controls were designed for the newer camera style.
Yeah. Yeah, in
Yeah,
the
and like
original games, they have like the auto aim, so that's why I was kind of wondering. Like your character kind of like automatically go shoots towards the enemy. So
Yep.
it would be a little rough. It'd be hard.
yeah, and like I'm not saying that you need tank controls with fixed camera angles. Like you could make that argument. That's not the one I'm trying to make. I'm just saying that like even like again the original God of War games, those all had fixed camera angles. Crash Bandicoot, fixed camera angles. But just like stuttering, you get that like cinematography aspect, like a director shooting a film. He gets to pick where everything is in the scene so that everyone experiences, for lack of a better word, the same art piece.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
everyone gets the same experience. You play RE1 and you hear the zombie around the corner and you can't see it and you know you're going to get jumped, you still have to go around the corner that you can't see where the bad guy is. And everyone that plays that game will do that. Versus in like a free flow camera, you can kind of like shimmy up against the wall and tilt the camera a little bit and you can actually see past that corner, you know?
Yeah. How do you feel about it, Leanne? Do you have an opinion on it?
Uh, uh, I've never played any Resident Evil game actually.
Okay. I'm trying to think of other fixed camera angle games.
Well, there
I
was
mean, I'm
Universal Theme Park Tour for the GameCube that had fixed camera angles.
well, I mean, it doesn't need to be like strictly fixed, even just like loosely fixed, like the God of War games. A
I
lot
know
of sixth gen.
DMC1. I know DMC1 has fixed camera angles.
I've heard about that too, but like a lot of just like sixth gen platformers in general, like even like the third party ones, like the licensed games, like SpongeBob had a fixed camera angle. Just like a lot of games in that era had either a fixed camera angle or like a you can move the camera kind of Mario 64 esque style, where it was like here's your pre-directed shot, and then you get like a little window of variance that you can 10-15% move it a little bit.
One good example of one that's kind of fixed angle, but still kind of has limited movement is Legacy of Kain Defiance.
Okay. Yeah, I think Legacy Kane does have some of that from what I've seen. Okay. Yeah, yeah, I think is that an unpopular probably it's an unpopular opinion because people want full control of the cameras nowadays, and maybe people are just so used to it. But I think some games benefit from it. I this is also probably unpopular, but I think fixed camera angles with tank controls actually benefit some games. Um, they make them more scary, with RE4, like you got more of an action fun I like how we like this is like a Resident Evil podcast. We're just like I love Resident Evil. With RE4 you lose the horror and you get more of a fun shooter action experience. So there are like fixed camera angles aren't just for horror games. Like you said, they're for cinematography, much like God of War, maybe Devil May Cry in some instances, and like other games such as that. So that it's like shooting a film. Like they meant
Yeah.
to do this in a certain way, you know.
Oh, yeah, and another game that has fixed camera angles, and let's try to fulfill the quota for this particular podcast, but Final Fantasy VII had fixed camera angles.
Yeah, that's true. It did, and it was very cinematic and very beautiful. One of the best games ever.
Doesn't MG or Metal Gear Solid, doesn't that have the first at least the first one's fixed camera, isn't it?
Kind of more overhead than specifically fixed, although there is a couple of instances in Metal Gear Solid 1 where the camera kind of fixes itself at a specific angle because it's a more cinematic shot, but most of the time it's more overhead.
I mean, overhead's still fixed, right?
Yeah, you could say it's fixed. It's not really what I think of, but yeah, what Sonny's saying is that like there are sequences that like you kind of it will show like something because it's like, hey, we want you to look at this. What was a game? I was trying to think of a game that did that where it's like it fixed it to show like a beautiful scenery that they made or a landscape. I can't really remember. I think even Breath of the Wild might do that sometimes, right? Like there are certain
Yep.
sequences where it's like it's fixed.
I think so.
Maybe so maybe like a combination of two is great. If you're doing a game full fixed, you have to really think about where you're putting these cameras because it's either going to annoy players or they're gonna or they're gonna love the cinematography of it. So, yeah, cool. Now let's go to the next opinion, Leanne.
I'd say there's nothing wrong with copying another game's formula because like there's no way you can possibly be like 100% like original.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There is nothing wrong with and some people might get upset that the games are copied. So is that kind of the unpopular opinion? You think that it's okay to copy something?
Yeah, I'd say so. Like I'm one of those people who's just like here to have fun. So like I don't really care if something's copied. Like whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I think as long as it's not like a 1-for-1, like if it's exactly the same game and then maybe you just changed like the character, like the main character or something, I'm like, okay, get a little creative. But I don't mind games that are like heavily inspired. Like,
And, like,
because yeah.
Like even then when it's basically just like a 1-to-1 copy of the original game, like at most that basically means like you more content for the original, I suppose.
Yeah. I was actually going to say another unpopular opinion, but I think I'll save it for the next episode. But I was thinking of a game that copied Final Fantasy VII, and I was like, that doesn't make it a bad game. Like, it's fine. It's like it's actually still a good game. But they still did their own story and their own thing. That's fine. Even art is like when you're learning to become an artist, you don't start out creating your own masterpieces. I think most oftentimes people look at people who are great artists and get inspired by them and then try to create their own styles from that. Am I wrong?
No, like as an artist myself, that's how I started out actually.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's fine. I think that's totally fine. Now, don't don't grab someone's video game or whatever and then slap your own title on it. It's like it's not called Resident Evil. It's called Neighborhood Bad Guys or something, and it's like the same game. Like exactly the same. Oh, these are bad people in the neighborhood. Yep, that's true. Those are
Yeah.
bad zombies. We don't like them.
No,
We do not.
it's not Mega Man. It's Tiny Boy. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I'm just over here trying to picture a C flick version of Resident Evil because Resident Evil already has B flick acting in it.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, yeah. Oh, even
Like,
worse,
the
like
bad
voice
knockoff
acting.
has to be so terrible.
Ugh. Yeah, that would be horrible. It'd be
Yeah.
like
A Jill sandwich.
it'd be like the Bollywood version of like Resident Evil or something. Like,
Oh, well, if it was Bollywood, then there would have to be a musical dance number at some point.
yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, copying, being inspired and copying, to some degree, I think is right. I'd even give people like a 70% copy, a 30% difference would be fine to me. I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Um, you know, like Pokemon. Pokemon's a big one that I like. Maybe I don't even know if we should get into this discussion because this could be a whole like that. I could be unraveling with Pal World and Pokemon. I personally,
Oh yeah.
do,
I remember
yeah,
Power World was in a pretty like hot spot for a while.
yeah, and it still is. I mean, there's a bunch of lawsuits going on that are still kind of like up in the air, but yeah, I thought it was fine. Maybe they could have been a little less, I guess. What would you call it? Like obvious with some of
Obvious?
their, yeah, like with some of their characters, but the game is like 100% different than any Pokemon game I've ever
Oh
seen
I
yeah,
or
mean,
it's
played.
it's
it's
more of
not
like
rough.
it's more of like a survival game.
Yeah. So maybe that's an unpopular opinion too. But I just like, yeah, it's okay. Like people pocket look at Digimon. Digimon wouldn't have existed without probably wait, who came out first? I want to be sure I'm correct about this, but I think Digimon came out after Pokemon, right? Uh yeah, maybe a couple years. I think it's a couple years. But it's like Digimon probably wouldn't have existed without Pokemon, and Digimon's pretty cool. Like it
Uh,
had its thing.
Digital Monsters started in 1997, and I think Pokemon started
94? Just a guess.
96.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Pretty close. Pretty darn close there. Now, did they take some inspiration? Probably. I mean, they're both like, animals that have like multiple evolutions that are companions to excuse me, to the protagonists and stuff. Um, so yeah, I think it's fine. But now, if you made something like Digimon now, Pokemon would take you out. They'd be like, you
Yeah,
can't do that. Like, cease and assist, like whatever.
it'd be like
They're gonna come to your
a
house and
hit,
kill
like
you.
one of those Scorsese movies,
Pretty much.
where they like take you into a cornfield and beat you up with a bat or something.
Yeah, pretty
I
much.
mean, didn't Game Freak try to file a patent for shadows in an isometric viewpoint?
I bet. I bet they did. I mean, they filed a patent that was basically essentially mounting a horse, like or an animal or something, like mounting and riding a creature in a video game. And it didn't. I don't think it went through, but they tried. They certainly tried. So yeah, but yeah, you can. It's like, man, if you want to create your own creatures and come up with your own style of game, maybe don't make it a 1-for-1 to Pokemon and Game Boy games, but you could probably make a better game, honestly, than some of those Pokemon games. Like I've heard some of them are not great. And that's me being a fan of like Leaf Green and Soul Silver and Red and Blue. I love those games.
Yeah, well,
So
sometimes Pokemon fans have kind of gone and started making their own Pokemon games. I know that there was one I just saw the other day that was like Pokemon, but set during like Bushido era Japan, and so you have like all the trainers are like samurai warriors and stuff.
yeah, just don't
Which,
tell Nintendo. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, okay, yeah, I think we're all kind of on the same page. Did we have any differing opinions on this copy thing or
Not really. I can tell you that when you peruse like the eShop store, you'll see way too many Endless Runner games. I kind of wish that other people
Oh
would
yeah.
do other than Endless Runner games.
right? Yeah. Yeah, that's funny that I say that because I my first indie game was an Endless Runner, and that's because it was my first. It's like it was a easy game to make, and I wonder if that's why they're so popular is because they're easy to make. But
Yeah.
yeah, they're definitely not my favorite genre, though. Definitely not my
I mean,
favorite genre. Not even close.
I
So
remember Bit Trip Runner being pretty good.
yeah, I don't know which one's that?
Uh, I'm not really sure how to explain it right now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's
So
got
I think
this
we're
like
all in the.
it's got this like rectangular black guy, and he has it's kind of hard to explain for me right now.
Okay. Yeah, I
It was
don't.
very popular for the Wii and DS era. It
Yeah, I
was
remember
mostly for
playing
Endless
the
Runner.
heck out of it on Wii, the demo.
Oh yeah. So I think we're kind of the same opinion here. I think we all agree. So yeah, let's go to the next one. Sunnyside.
Oh, it's my turn again. Okay.
It's your turn.
Okay, so this one's going to be kind of a hot take. I don't think there's licensed video games. I know that they have a bit of a reputation. I don't think there is nearly as many bad licensed video games out there as people think there is. I think at worst a lot of them are just more mid than they are actually bad. There's actually, I think, quite a few licensed video games that are actually like pretty decent, but get overlooked just because, well, they're a licensed video game, and unless you grew up with them, most more seasoned gamers will just kind of automatically pass over some of them. Like when we were doing our 3D platformer chat, the more we got to talking, the more like 3D platformers that we talked about that are like either like hidden gems or pretty good, a lot of them were actually licensed video games from like the 2000s and stuff. So, and there's certainly other uh, outside of like 3D platformers that are licensed video games that are actually pretty good that get overlooked. Like for example, on my shelf right now is a Jason Bourne video game that came out for the PlayStation 3 that I never hear anybody talk about, but is actually a really darn good third-person shooter that basically retells the events of the Bourne movies.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Oh, go ahead.
yeah, and there's other like pretty good 3D platformer games out there. Like there's Toy Story 3 for the PlayStation 3 is pretty good. There's Toy Story 2 for the 64 PS1 is pretty good. I've heard some people actually be pretty positive about like some of the DreamWorks games. Like people seem to like Shrek 2. People seem to like the first or second Madagascar video games. I haven't played those in particular, but I know that some people have talked pretty positively about like some of the old like Nickelodeon games for like the GBA and stuff. And I know a lot of people swear by like some of the SpongeBob games, like Battle for Bikini Bottom or the SpongeBob movie game. And so I think there's like actually more licensed video games out there that are actually like good or at least mid at best than there are actually like really like terrible ones. Now certainly there's some really terrible licensed video games that are out there, and a lot of them definitely are their reputations precede them, but I think there's like a good number out there that just kind of slip by people's radars that are actually pretty decent.
Yeah. One that I think of that's actually really good is GoldenEye. Like that was
Yes.
like um such a great game for its time.
Yeah.
Uh they had a couple of other James Bond games that actually weren't bad. I'd give them like the rating that you're kind of giving them. There are I know ET like has a really bad reputation. I think it was like for the Atari or something. Like for
Yeah.
some reason, it has like a really
That
bad
was one of
reputation.
the few like licensed games that I actually played, and oh my god, I just wanted to stop playing like every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's
wow.
bad.
You know, there's an ET game for the PS1 that's almost just as bad.
Oh my god,
Really?
I didn't know
They
that.
just they just
Like
can't get it right, huh?
I hear what you're saying, Sunnyside, and like I kind of agree, but I think that like mathematically speaking, right? I think that licensed games are just more prone to the financial pressures. Like they're more prone to rush, they're more prone to crunch, they're more prone to, for lack of a better word, malpractices. Where like because it's not by a giant studio, they don't have the budgets or they're cheap to get the license, so they don't put a lot of money into the product. So like if there's gonna be the loot boxes aren't in licensed games, but like that's a bad business practice by most people's metrics, right?
Mhm.
Like those types of things will get into licensed games and like gimmicks, all that stuff way easier because they're seen as like the cheaper product overall.
Well, like I said, there's certainly a good reason why licensed video games have gotten the reputation that they did, but I also think there's a lot of like decent to like good ones that get overlooked just because it is a licensed video game. And unless it's like a 10 out of 10 type game like GoldenEye, word never really gets out about them actually being a pretty fun romp.
Yeah, no, and I completely agree with you. I grew up in the sixth gen. I had a PS2 and a GameCube and all that stuff. Like I played Scooby Doo Night of 100 Frights and Battle for Bikini Bottom and all those other licensed games, and a lot of them are a lot of fun. But for everyone that's made with love and care like that, I mean, that's how you got developers like THQ and Heavy Ironworks Studios and all those other guys that went on to make phenomenal games. But like, there's also Atari ETs. There's also um, just gimmicky
Superman
M&M's kart race.
64.
Superman 64, M&M's Kart Racer for the Wii. Like there's these awful games because
God, why
some
did you
dude
have
in a
to remind
corporate
me of
office.
Eminem's kart racers?
Hey, wait, there was an M&M's Kart Racers? That's so
Yeah.
funny. I
It's
just picked that up.
so
That's so
bad.
funny.
Oh, for every Shrek 2, I was torturing my friends the other day.
Uh,
I had them sit down and play Shrek Super Party for some laughs.
Oh,
Like
wow. So yeah, I think the thing with licensed games is that sometimes you'll get developers picking up a licensed game just because it has a big name. And so, they're not really creating the game for like the passion that you would normally with some video games. So they're just
Yeah.
like put the big name on it, boom, licensed video game.
Yeah.
And so yeah, they
And
have a bad reputation.
there are
I
some made with like actual like passion and love for the source material. Like one that I can think of is the Family Guy PSP game, where like the game itself isn't that good, but like you can tell that the developers who worked on it were like actual fans of the show. Like it
Yeah.
has like cutaway gags in it, and like the writing
Yeah.
is very similar to that of the show.
Yeah, yeah. Another like popular licensed game I hear that people consider good is like Spider-Man 2. I guess is considered
Yeah,
to be pretty good.
yeah.
Yeah.
The Chamber of Secrets I heard wasn't bad. I think it was like for the PS1. The Lord of the Rings games weren't bad. The one like the Two Towers and the Return of the King, those weren't too bad. Um, I'm trying to think of like the licensed games that were like my favorite games of my top 20 list, and maybe GoldenEye makes my like top 50. But yeah, I do think sometimes they do get overlooked because it's like, oh, this is just another SpongeBob game. Like there's hundreds of these games. Like why would I play this SpongeBob game that doesn't have any depth to it? But then you get games like, I guess, which I haven't played, Battle of the Bikini Bottom, where you're like, oh, this is actually a good game. Surprisingly.
Well, let me
Yeah.
put it this way: Battle for Bikini Bottom was so popular that its lasting popularity was enough that they actually went back and eventually remastered the game for the Switch.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
which is
I do
incredible.
remember that. I do remember that they made like a remaster of it. I think it was called Rehydrated.
Yes.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah,
I, I don't know. It's just, I've been watching a lot of people that talk about like that have done like reviews of licensed video games or like hidden gems and stuff. And there's like, and I've just seen a lot of videos where people have covered games that actually turned out to be pretty good that I would have never have otherwise considered picking up just because it was like a licensed video game. But you never really hear anybody talk about it. It's like, oh, it's just another licensed video game. Just pass it by. But then,
Yeah.
you hear about. I mean, it's like how many people would have played like Night of 100 Frights, for example, of like Scooby Doo, if they hadn't already grown up with and played that game when they were a kid. But like now, if you had seen like if you were like your age now and you saw like Night of 100 Frights on a shelf, would you have actually given a second thought about playing it?
Most certainly not.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that is a childhood nostalgia video game, but yet no, and I hear you. I agree. I just think that because the bar to entry to make one of those back in the day was lower than most other games, there's a lot of hidden gems. There's also a lot of 5 out of 10s at best. So it's like a weird paradigm. But I mean, even like game franchises get licensed out all the time too. Look at the newer Metroids. They're made by Mercury Steam or Retro Studios. You were talking about GoldenEye earlier, Lance. That was made by Rare out of England.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like there's a lot of like they we sorry, movie franchises games are always put under scrutiny because they're usually considered cheaper to make, but even big names license out their games all the time. Minish Cap was made by Capcom, so were the Oracle games.
Oh yeah, and if you think about it, like a lot of the Disney games that were made in the '90s, a lot of them were made by Capcom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so like just because it's licensed doesn't mean it's bad. It's more likely to be because the bar to entry is lower.
Yeah.
Now,
I
and
mean,
I'll make an argument that even some more mid or okay type games, some of them can still be fun if you're in the right mindset for it. Not all of them, but some, even kind of a mid tier game can still be sometimes kind of fun.
yeah. I feel like I'm in the camp of like I would not pick up a licensed game unless it was renownedly popular for being good or it's like a nostalgia hit for me. Because I am of, like I don't want to take that risk of like putting some hours into a game where it's just like this is horrible. So I'm among those people. So I feel it. I wouldn't if I saw something like Indiana Jones and I'm like, oh great, like what is this like like a Tomb Raider ripoff? But then people are like, nah, some of these games are good, and it's like, or the Matrix. I've heard some of those games are bad, but I probably would, like I probably wouldn't play it unless someone told me it was good, pretty much.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's perfectly fine. I mean, there is lots and lots of like licensed games I've skipped over the years, and it turned out a good number of them were indeed bad. And so thankfully I didn't spend my, hard-earned time or money on them. But, the
Yeah.
older I get, the more I'm looking into like older games and hidden gems and stuff. It's like, huh, there's actually quite a few licensed games out there that I wouldn't thought that would be good that are actually decent.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Okay, let's go on to the last opinion here of mine. And this one's kind of game specific. And I honestly, I'll keep it short because I don't remember a lot of this game. But it's Final Fantasy 12 is a boring and bad game. I don't think I tried playing it back when it came out when I was young, like maybe I want to say I was like 16 years old when I was playing this game, and I got like halfway through and I just could not finish it. It was very, very boring. It's like it feels kind of like an auto battler where you can kind of set your characters up and they kind of like hit the enemy, and the story is very like I can't even remember it. I remember like there was an enemy faction attacking another faction, and you had these judges, and these judges were kind of like bad guys like with big, with weapons, but the main characters had like no substance to them. I felt like Van was like a street rat, and I think his brother's killed in the beginning, but it just felt like very like I'm like, why would I finish this game? I'm so bored. Like I am like dying out of my mind of boredom playing this. It's hard. It's kind of hard too.
It's funny you mention that. First of all, Final Fantasy XII is actually a spin-off of Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, which I believe is the tactics game you played and you didn't like. So it's already kind of a spin-off of a Final Fantasy game you didn't really care for. But secondly, funny enough, that was Final Fantasy XII was basically the second Final Fantasy game I kind of sort of experienced. The first one I experienced was like a demo of like Final Fantasy VIII when I was a kid. And then Final Fantasy XII was like the other Final Fantasy game I experienced. And after that, I was like, I don't really like the Final Fantasy franchise. This is what the games are like.
Oh no. You did like some of the worst ones. Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. That's kind of why I stuck to like things like Dragon Quest. But yeah. So no, I kind of agree with you. Now I have heard that the re-release of 12, they actually re-released it for the Switch, and it's called like the Zodiac Age. I've actually heard that one's like that they heavily improved it in terms of gameplay.
Yeah, I wonder what it is because I would like to know. Because my experience with Final Fantasy games is that I was always very captivated by the story. Like every time I played one, I was just like, "This is good." And my most recent one was 9. I played 9 and beat it, and I was like, even that, like I played it a couple years ago in my adult life. I was like, "This is a good game," and I'm like into the story. Like I'm invested into these characters and I care what happens to them. 12 just did not get me there. It was very like I don't know, very surface level for me. And a lot of people say that 12 is their favorite Final Fantasy, and that I don't know if that's an unpopular opinion or if mine's the unpopular one, but it's just like what? Like out of 10 and 7 and 9, like even 8, like I would take 8 over 12 any day. And so I didn't get it.
I mean, at least with 8, 8 had some like unique designs and stuff. Like you're not going to forget Squall and his gun sword or his jacket.
Yeah. Yeah. And the story in 8 actually isn't bad. It's the reason 8 gets the bad rap is the junction system is just convoluted, I guess.
Yeah.
So, that's where it has faults. It doesn't really have faults in its story as much. I think the story's pretty good. So yeah, but you have to get, with the Final Fantasy games, it's like sometimes you have to put a few hours into it before you even get to a part where you're like, okay, now I'm invested into these stories. I put a good like probably 40 hours into that FF12 before I was like, I'm done with this game. I do not want to play it anymore.
Which Final Fantasy game that was infamous of like, oh, you have to play it 12 hours before it gets good? Was it like Final Fantasy 13 or 14 or something that
Probably.
It was like one of the first ones for HD consoles, and it was like it was not a good Final Fantasy game, but the people who are trying to defend is like, oh, you just have to play it like 12 hours, and then that's when the game finally opens up and gets good.
Yeah. Yeah, see, if you can't make a game good in the first like hour, I would say, or even 2, like I'll be, generous, then it's not probably a great game. You have to hook
Twilight
people
Princess?
into the game. Twilight Prince. I like Twilight Princess. I like the intro. I like it.
Oh, I love Twilight Princess, but that intro is awful, man.
Yeah. It
It's
wasn't
like
so bad
3
where
hours.
yeah, it is like the village. You're just like, what am I doing here? I'm
I
herding
love that
sheep
game,
or
but that
something.
intro's like 3 hours.
Like, yeah, you're just like wrestling sheep. I don't even know what the heck you're doing in there.
Like,
But
I
yeah.
don't play a game. I don't play a game just like to wait for it to get good. You know?
Right, it's a video game. It's supposed to value your time, and you're like that includes the first couple hours of the video game. So, Agreed, 100% agreed there. So yeah, FF12 is a boring and not a great game. There it is. Now, let's go on to the next opinion. That was my last opinion, so we're gonna go on with Dan's last opinion.
All right, so this one might not be as unpopular as I think it is, but at least mainstream wise, I think this one holds up. I don't really care about video game graphics as much as I care about art direction.
Okay.
Like, especially when you're talking about like indie games and stuff, like Celeste, Cuphead, like those are some low, well, not Cuphead, but like a lot of those indie style games are like I'd say probably like PS3 or down. Like smaller studios make a lot of like PS3, PS4 looking games even nowadays, if that high quality at all, but like the gameplay's phenomenal. I'd rather have interesting artistic gameplay and direction over like 4K HDR, advanced ray tracing, all done in the same game engines. Like most
Yeah.
of your name brand things are done in the same game engines, and I miss the artistic direction of back in the older days when every developer studio had their own in-house engines that went into all these other games.
Yeah. I think Unreal Engine games get a lot of bad rap for that because of the Lumen and the what was the Nanite? It's like, oh, this is just Unreal, like kind of how like people say AI slop. This is like Unreal slop, or it's just somebody threw a character into a giant scene and then like said like, oh, look, it's a great game. Look at these graphics, and they try to get you with the pictures, but there's no sustenance. So that I think, yeah, graphics are like, unless you're a game that like requires high fidelity graphics for very specific reasons, I think they don't really matter. I'm on the same page with you.
Yeah.
Um,
Like,
uh,
imagine if like the next Mario game was in Unreal 5, right?
Ugh.
With the state of the Unreal Engine, I would hate that.
And there's nothing wrong with the Unreal Engine. I'm not trying to say that it's bad or anything else. I just when like Capcom with RE7, they do like the RE engine thing and everybody blows up about how it looks so unique and everything else. I'm like, there was a time when each game had its own engine. And it led to more glitches, it led to more issues, physics problems, etc. But like there's a charm to that, you know? Because like each game had an artistic direction they wanted to go, and then they made the engines to accompany that. And be it pixel art or be it early 3D gaming, like it doesn't really matter. You don't need to go that far back. Just like the artistic direction means more to me than the reflections on the water puddles. Not
Yeah.
that that's
yeah,
bad. Like I love Spider-Man 2 on the PS5. Game's gorgeous. So is the Demon Souls remake. Like graphics are amazing. I just kind of when those are the focus point of like where all the time and money and budget and months of development go into, I feel like we kind of lost the plot.
yeah, agreed.
Yeah, definitely.
For me,
Yeah,
at least, I stopped kind of caring about graphics around, I don't know, 2007, 2008, because basically I felt like that the Xbox 360 and PS3 kind of, made it in terms of, the graphic fidelity, the graphic quality that everybody had been like pushing for. And so, yeah, pretty much ever since like the PS3, Xbox 360 era, I've never really been like all that, I mean, after I saw Heavy Rain, I was like, yeah, we made it. And so I've been far more interested in like, content, quality of gameplay, art direction, things like that. But no, more of a decade of a pursuit of something that we've already achieved, just, at higher and higher fidelities and, increasing the cost of production. But
Yeah.
no, but yeah, I think we won the graphics race back in the late 2000s, and yeah, I'm much more interested in what you can do with the graphics rather than just the raw horsepower of it in and of itself. It's like, do we need to actually see every hair follicle on a character's head, or could those resources be better used for gameplay, or just visual variety, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I think this, and I kind of maybe want to do an episode on this. Like, this kind of goes into the whole DLSS 5 conversation with AI and why it's
Yeah.
not, it's getting a lot of controversy. It's because, you're like Dan was suggesting, sometimes you lose that artistic representation or the plot when it comes to some of these games. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
Cuphead was an interesting example because it's like, yeah, the graphics aren't good, but they chose a very like interesting art style that, and it was like just so unique and memorable to the game. And so yeah,
Yeah.
graphics are
Yeah.
very down low on the totem pole. I do think like good graphics can help with like certain horror games. Like I think RE9 it probably helps. But that's not the sustenance of the game. Like if RE9 had worse graphics, it would still probably I haven't played it, but everyone says it's good. It'd still probably be a good game. So
Well, like for some other examples, it's like, for example, I think like Grand Theft Auto San Andreas for the PlayStation 2 still looks good. And then when they re-released it with that remastered edition where they remastered the graphics, they made it look uglier. It looked worse in the remaster than it did on the original PlayStation 2. And but in terms of like good games that don't really have much graphics, another example I would cite in terms of just having a unique art style is the original Undertale. It kind of goes with
Oh
like
yeah.
a
That's a good
pseudo
one.
16-bit, 8-bit graphic style, but it has a very unique art style that stuck to the minds of a lot of young millennials and Gen Z people.
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah,
Did either of you
definitely.
guys, anyone here play Animal Well yet? Like, that's got a really cool art style, and that's trying to be like maybe 16-bit, closer to 8, but a little bit of 16 flair.
yeah. Yeah. No, I haven't. I haven't played it. Um, but yeah, no,
Okay.
I think graphics are overrated too. I think if you're trying to sell your game based on graphics alone, it probably isn't a good game. Like if that's like your main selling point, you know.
Yeah.
So
Like, well, we got like the RTX powered nail polish, and it's like, okay, cool, but like, what's the actual gameplay like?
yeah, yeah. Am I just walking around in this like crazy graphic world like with nothing to do or like nothing good
Yeah.
to do? Like I'm
Yeah.
just here's trees.
It's like
Okay.
I don't know. It's like, for example, Red Dead Redemption 2 is like a really good game, but part of the reason why Red Dead Redemption 2 took so long is they put so much time and effort into its graphics, almost to the point of being almost unnecessarily ridiculous. Like they wanted like their horses to be so accurate that it pretty much has all the functions, features, and aesthetics of a real horse, and it's like, you know, this is a cowboy game. This is not a horse simulator. Do you really need to put that much of the game's horsepower and people's dev time into fully
Horsepower.
modeling a horse?
I want that
Jesus.
mane to look perfect. That mane better look perfect on that horse. It better be shiny and glossy. Better look like it's using horse and mane. Huh. No,
So,
it's
how
just like
many bits are the horses?
right. I don't know, millions, billions. I don't know how many bits. But yeah, no, I'm agreeing. I'm in agreement. Yeah. Let's
Yeah.
go on. Let's go on to
There is
the.
one game. There is one game that I want to mention.
Okay.
Pizza Tower again. Pizza Tower. Like, if you just look at a still screenshot of that game, it looks like borderline MS Paint. But then, like, actually, like playing the game and seeing the animation, it really like flows together like a like '90s or '80s like Warner Brothers cartoon, I guess.
Oh yeah, yeah. I love the aesthetics of Pizza Tower. In fact, a lot of like the there's actually a pretty strong modding scene for Pizza Tower, and all those
Yeah,
Pizza
yeah.
Tower mods just continue to like nail the aesthetic of Pizza Tower. Like, there was like a Pokemon Pizza Tower game, and they still managed to still have that great like you know 90s like wavy aesthetic thing. That's a great looking game in motion.
Yeah.
It's a weird. It's got a unique art style. It's really
Oh
different.
yeah.
I think it's very like unique with it's a pixel art style game, which is pretty like I'd say that's pretty overdone in indie games. But Pizza Tower is unique because it's at a much higher resolution, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, it has kind
Yeah.
of like that ugly '90s animation look, like some of like those classic Cuspo cartoons, like
Yeah,
Rugrats or Thornberries. It's kind of reminiscent of that kind of art style, except even more exaggerated.
Rocco's
yeah,
Modern Life or
and I
something.
love it.
Cow and
And also
Chicken. Yeah, those.
the game's just generally fun too. Like it doesn't concern itself with a story really. It's like its main focus is being fun. And then and then you get to me. I have over 300 hours in the game.
Oh wow, you could play it that long? Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah, it is
Okay.
very fun to speedrun.
Oh, nice. All right. Yeah, let's move on to the next opinion. That will be for you, Leanne.
Uh, so my last unpopular opinion will be Sonic 3 and Knuckles is the worst of the classic Sonic games, honestly.
I disagree.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I just want to make sure I heard you correctly, sir.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
Sonic.
like I did
Oh, go
I
ahead.
just like I didn't really like care for that much, I guess. Like first off, it's a bit long, I'd say. And second, the like a lot of the game is automated. Like in Angel Island Zone Act 1, it was either Act 1 or Act 2, but like there's an air bombing section, and all you do is hold right. And it's like I'm not really playing the game.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
So this is compared to the like 1 and 2, right? You're kind of comparing it to those.
Yeah.
Okay. I it's been a long time for me since I played Sonic 3, so I don't think I have a strong opinion on this. I'll let Dan and Sunny take up the flag or whatever you want to say on this one.
okay, Dan, do you want to just like do a tag team beatdown or just take each turn?
I'm sitting here trying to like find a nice way to say, I think you're a little
Oh
off
boy,
base
I'm gonna
with this
die.
one, sir. Like you went from spicy to chugging ghost pepper hot sauce. So
That's funny.
I'll just start out with one simple point, and then I'll let Sonny make a simple point. We'll go from there. But this was 2 games. If it wasn't a little long, I'd have some questions and concerns about buying 2 full-priced games and it being too short.
I didn't know they were 2 games. It's actually
Yeah,
2
it's-
separate games.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was 2 games.
there was Sonic 3, and then there was Sonic and Knuckles, and Sonic and Knuckles was a lock-on cartridge where you can either play both games independently, but you can also just like place the Sonic 3 cartridge on top of it, and it'll basically turn both games into one long game. That's the simplest
Oh.
way I can describe it.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like DLC before DLC was a thing.
Yeah.
Basically, like Sega of America said, the game has to be done by this date because we're releasing McDonald's toys, and we want the money. And the dev team was like, "Well, we're not gonna. We only got half the game made, and we literally can't fit the other half of the game into the cartridge without it costing like $130 in the '90s." So they were like,
Okay.
"We're just gonna split it in two because we're not gonna like ruin the thing we've spent months working on."
I I thought Sonic 2 was like the most popular one. Am I wrong?
Eh,
Uh,
it-
Sonic 2 sold the most, but 3 and K is the most like critically acclaimed. Is my
Okay.
understanding.
yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, you
something
have
like that.
lots and lots of people that love Sonic 2. I'm not one of them. But but yeah. No, I really like Sonic 3 and Sonic 3 Knuckles a lot. To address your one point that you mentioned that, there's automated sections. Yes, but it's also the first Sonic game to even have those kinds of sections. And it's one of the first Sonic games to actually have any kind of real cinematics whatsoever. I mean, these are like,
Yeah.
actual like storytelling within the levels themselves. aside from like one or two
and
moments
I like it
near
a
the end of
lot.
Sonic 2.
Like I like the story that's being told with like Knuckles. Like the title character Knuckles. Like he's got pretty like interesting like motives. I guess.
Yes. But I would say that in terms of like automated sections, they're not that long and they're pretty reasonable for Sonic 3 and Sonic and
Is-
Knuckles, in my opinion.
is-
There's other Sonic games that have automated sections that are far, far worse. Just take a look at Sonic Forces, for example, or Sonic
Oh my
Superstars,
God.
or something a little bit
God,
more
I
modern.
hate Forces so much.
Is this automated sections like Sonic Adventure where you hit a speed pad and your character's kind of like doing loops and stuff like that?
I mean, you could argue those have always been part of the franchise. They've always had spectacle mixed in with the
Yeah.
formula. It's been like arcade trial and error level design where you kind of get like a feel for the engine and then do fun stuff. But there's also parts where you kind of like look at the character do cool little tricks that were unique to the hardware. That's always been part of it. Like Chemical Plant plays itself until you smack up against a wall from Sonic 2. Green Hill plays itself until you hit an enemy. Like that's always been part of the earlier levels in the franchise,
Yeah.
especially. And then as you get further in each game, those moments happen with less frequency.
Yeah. Also, I would also kind of defend Sonic 3 on its length and Sonic 3 Knuckles. Unlike Sonic 2, Sonic 3 actually allows you to have in-game saving.
That is fair, yeah.
Sonic 2
Okay.
does not, and that game is a slog by the time you get to the Metropolis Zone.
Yeah, I had many a game overs at Death Egg Zone as a child.
Yeah. Interesting.
So I think
Okay. Yeah.
this kind of take more so comes down to like our experiences with the game because I don't know about you guys, but my first experience with the classic Sonic games was buying them on Steam and then playing them through their built-in emulator where I had save states anyways. So
Okay.
I didn't
For me,
I didn't think the no save issue in Sonic 2 was like even that issue at all because I had a save state like system.
yeah. For me, I grew up playing them on the GameCube with Sonic Mega Collection, and then I later on
Mega
bought like
Collection.
the Windows 98 PC port, which turned out to not be compatible with the Windows XP because there was one of those late 90s games that tied the game speed to the frame rate.
So
Mm.
this is such a random aside about original experiences, right?
Right.
I'm going back a long time, so I could be misremembering. But don't you have to, in order to play 3 and Knuckles on the Mega Collection, don't you have to beat 3 and then beat Knuckles without saving, like you were playing them separately, and then it gives you the full game together?
No, it's actually even worse than that. You have to boot up Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles like I think it was like 20 or 30 times each.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's dumb.
What? Okay, that's weird. I don't know about that. That sounds crazy.
I don't know about that one either, but he might be right. But like,
Yeah.
Like why
especially
can't
the
why can't
classic
the
Sonic
games
games,
just
you
be
were
combined?
supposed like
Right.
the original classic Sonic games were made with repetition in mind. Like the guy literally had the philosophy of when he plays Mario 1-1, each time he played it, he played the level faster. Because back then you would always restart platformers at the beginning. Most games didn't have a save feature.
Yeah.
So he wanted to make a franchise where when you're replaying 1-1, you can literally play faster than just running at the normal one set speed.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like it's definitely got some quirks to it. But it is renowned for being, I guess, one of the better Sonic games. At least of the older generation. I have to play Sonic more
Like
Sonic because I feel like that Sonic gets brought up so much on this podcast, and I'm just not that well versed in it. You know?
I'm not going to lie, Sonic 3K is like it's a good game and I have fun playing it. So like it's not so much like when I say it's the worst of the classic games, that's not to say that I dislike it, it's just my least favorite.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
and that's fine. I just disagree. It's my favorite of the classics.
It's
That can't be
certainly
your
a
least favorite.
spicy take. It is a defender of Labyrinth Zone in Sonic 1. Even I'm over here like how like
That's funny.
I don't know about this one, Chief.
I mean,
I
I
got,
also
like,
didn't think Labyrinth was. I also didn't think Labyrinth Zone was actually that terrible. Honestly,
Yeah.
Yeah, especially
feel
like
like-
the Act 3 that everybody always complains about, where you get like kicked back into it. Like there's a
Yeah.
there's a little secret you can skip like 2/3 of that level.
Yeah.
Anyways, I digress. But like,
It's Scrap Brain Zone that is the worst zone in Sonic 1.
it's not Marble Zone.
It's not Marble Zone, it's Scrap Brain.
Mm, mm,
I don't know. I mean, Scrap Brain has a catchy tune.
It does, yeah.
it's true. I don't have to stand on a block in Scrap Brain.
Marble Zone never really bothered me in Sonic 1. I'll just say that. I actually kind of like the slower approach. In fact, I'll just say of the classic Sonic games, Sonic 2 is my least favorite for the Genesis. I actually like Sonic 1 over Sonic 2. Of course, like I said, Sonic 3 is my top one of the Genesis ones, but just kind of to illustrate my
Okay.
ranking slightly.
Yeah, that's so funny. Leanne, I did not expect that would be so controversial of an opinion. I was like sitting here like, okay, yeah, whatever, yeah, Sonic 3, yeah. Okay, cool.
Sonic 3
It's very akin to when like people dunk on Sonic Adventure 2. And like that's not one of my favorite games or anything, but there's a very vocal, dedicated fan base that love that game. And whenever people are like, I think Heroes was better than 2, everyone kind of like side eyes a little bit.
I think actually,
mean,
funny enough, I think Sunnyside and Leanne like 2 better, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
actually
2's pretty
like
good.
Sonic Adventure 2 over Sonic Adventure 1, but I will say the caveat that I find that even though I like 2 more, I've played through the campaign of Adventure 1 more. But I play the levels of Adventure 2 more often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to revisit 2 because I was of the opinion that I preferred 1. And now y'all are kind of making me try to retest this theory to see if I have the same opinion.
I mean, if
you
we're
you also gotta consider that like I think I have like 120 hours in Adventure 2 on Steam.
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
you got a lot of hours in this
I
game.
Yeah, I fully A ranked every stage. I unlocked the secret Green Hill stage. It was fun. I liked it.
You were gonna say something, Dan?
I was gonna say, if we're throwing out bonus hot takes, I really liked Shadow Generations. I think more than either
That's a
of
hot
the
take?
original adventure games.
I quite
Oh.
like Shadow Generations. I don't know.
Like
I
I
didn't-
didn't,
I
I
didn't play
played
it.
I played those 3 games all within like the same year. I never played Adventure 1 or 2 as a kid, and like I liked them, but I like Generations a lot more.
Well,
Yeah.
I think Shadow Generations told the Shadow the Hedgehog story better than the Shadow the Hedgehog game did. I'll
Oh
certainly
yeah,
say
no,
that.
definitely. Shadow from 2005 was like really incoherent.
Oh yeah, it's really bad in its execution. Um it's a mess. It's an entertaining mess, but it's a mess.
Yeah. And like, and I am one of those people who can like sit down and play like Sonic 06 and legitimately enjoy themselves, but Shadow, no, screw that.
Wait, whoa,
Yeah, I will say
you brought up Sonic. You brought up Sonic 3, but you're like, I non-ironically enjoy 06. That should have been the hot take, my guy.
Wait, why didn't I think of that actually? It's
Yeah,
it's less so because I think 06 is good because it's not like I think it's more funny than anything. Like it's funny seeing the game break in some new way.
yeah. Ah, man, I gotta play. Yeah, I remember you mentioning 06 and saying like it's not as bad as people make it out to be. So I would like to try it out.
I will say
It's a
this,
game.
it's like the most Final Fantasy of Sonic games in terms of its story.
Okay, really? Okay. Adventure. I kind of liked the storytelling of Adventure. I haven't played Frontiers, and I thought there's some storytelling there, but I'm not really sure. Um, hmm. Okay. Now let's. I think we should go on to Sunny's opinion so we can kind of wrap this bad boy up. Go ahead, Sunny.
Okay, well, I have many hot takes.
Well,
Apparently, I'll just have to save them for a future episode.
yeah, just save them. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll just do one.
Yeah. I think one that I'll do that's a little bit more broad. Okay, I actually like FMV games, like FMV games from like the late '90s.
Okay. Yeah. Does that include? Well, you didn't play the other Final Fantasies, but I was gonna say, does that include Final Fantasy, or what do we?
Well, what I mean by FMVs is like games that had like live actors, live action footage. Because there was a period of time in like the mid '90s to the late '90s where
Yeah.
CD technology was hot on the table, and everybody thought, "Ooh, now with CD technology, we can make our games like Hollywood movies." Even though, like, no, the CD was not ready for prime time. You needed to wait another generation to have DVD quality. But no, they all tried to do it in the '90s, and the technology just wasn't there, and it kind of killed the FMV genre. But I don't know. There's still some pretty good. There was some still pretty good stuff of
Yeah.
like games with like FMVs in it that were out there, and I kind of miss like that subgenre.
I've heard D is pretty good.
D?
Oh,
Yeah,
D.
it's like a horror video game on like the Dreamcast, I think, and then ported to the PS2, I believe, or maybe the PS1.
I think it was PS1.
Yeah. But no, like things like like things like the Wing Commander games had FMV cutscenes that were really good. I mean, heck, it had Mark Hamill and Malcolm McDowell in it. And then you also had Phantasmagoria 2. Those had FMVs. Of course, like the early Command and Conquer games had FMV cutscenes, and some of those are pretty legendary in their own right.
Well, I mean, the cutscenes, I always have a soft spot for FMV cutscenes.
Just real quick. Oh, thank you. I was gonna say we're picking up some background, but go ahead.
Yeah, as you were saying, Dan?
Oh, I was gonna say, like I've always had a soft spot for FMV cutscenes, but I thought you meant like FMV video games, like D or Night. Is it Night Trap?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I kind of include those too as FMV.
Yeah.
I like I said, I kind of miss like games that use full motion videos, like like Mad Dog McCree or Night Trap or things like that. It's like the technology is here now to make that stuff actually work. It didn't back in the '90s, but that's back when everybody did it.
I'm curious because I don't think there was a lot of FMV games that I played. Were a lot of these like on Windows 98, 95 type
Yes,
of
a lot of
stuff?
them were, but there were also like there was also some on the Sega CD and PlayStation. Some were on the
PS1 had a
Saturn,
lot of them, yeah.
but most were either on like the Sega CD, Windows 95, 98, or the PS1.
Yeah, I remember the Sega CD and PS1 being a pretty big hotspot for FMV games.
Don't
remember-
forget the CDI.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the CDI. Like, how can we forget like Faces of Evil, the that one Zelda game?
Yeah.
Yeah, the only one I could think of like off the top of my head was like the introduction to RE1. It's not really an FMV game, but they use an FMV to introduce the game, which I found to be just fine back in the day. I thought it was fine, but
I love
fun fact,
the intros.
a lot of those live action actors just actually had like a cast reunion last month, and they actually reshot the opening cutscene for the PS1 version of RE1 with them all reprising their roles.
hey,
Can you send me a
will
link?
watch that.
Wait.
Yeah. So yeah, if you find a link, let us know because that would be great to watch. That would be so. I wonder if they just did it like cheesy, like they did before, or like Chris or whatever they say, like run,
Joseph!
Joseph. Yeah. It's like the dogs are like blah, 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 blah. It was scary. I was scared back then. Like when I was a kid, I was like 7 years old. This was terrifying.
Black and white on the glowing tube TV.
Oh, I was like, yeah, seeing that first zombie terrified me. The whole game's I had nightmares for generations after playing that game when I was a kid. Zombies. So
Yeah.
yeah. FMV games. So I guess there might be some good ones. I cannot speak on it because I don't remember playing any that were like I love this FMV game. I just can't remember any of them.
Well, yeah, because like I said, a lot of them were mostly PC games, and so unless you kind of either have like a good like way to emulate like Windows 95, 98 games, or you grew up in that era, or still have a Windows 95, 98, it's kind of hard to experience some of those older FMV games. Now there is a few new FMV games that come out every so often. You can find them on Steam, but I don't know too much about them, and they don't really have the budgets like some of the ones in the '90s attempted to do. So,
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm gonna have to maybe look into some to see if I can find some enjoyment out of them. Yeah, awesome. So I think that kind of wraps up this episode. We're running a little bit over 2 hours, so I think we're good. Yeah. Real quick, I want to give you all one more quick chance to just say kind of what you do online for the people that are listening, and we'll start with Dan.
Yeah. I created and sell individually wrapped isopropyl alcohol wipes for cleaning and maintaining your video game gear, like controllers and stuff. Website is controllerwipes.com, and if you use the code reloaded10, you'll get 10% off and help support the channel.
Awesome. Thank you, Dan. And then we'll do Sunnyside.
yes, I'm SummerSetBanjo. You can find me on my YouTube channel, and on Twitch, and on Twitter, and on DeviantArt, all under the name SummerSetBanjo. I mainly do a lot of videos on like video games and music and anything else that comes to mind. I've even done a few cooking videos. But but yeah, and I'm also working on a Star Fox fan comic, and I'm looking for interested writers and artists that'd be willing to volunteer their time to take part in the project. This would probably be a good time to be involved since Star Fox is going to be in the upcoming Mario movie. Also, I buy and sell comic books, and I also have an educational board game called Paragraph Power, which is a fun way to learn to write. It allows you to pair nouns and adjectives together and build paragraphs.
Nice. Yeah, Star Fox is going to be in the upcoming Mario movie. That is new news to me. I did not know that. That's pretty cool. And then I think Leanne, you said you really don't have any public stuff yet. You do music
not
and
yet.
art. Yeah.
I do draw and like do music, but like it's mostly just like a personal thing, like a hobby.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Yeah, but
So,
I do
yeah.
have a YouTube channel. I do have a YouTube channel called Leanne64. There's not much on it right now. It's just one video about Sonic Racing Crossroads. I did a review on that game back when it came out. Woefully outdated video though, so.
Did you like
That's
it?
all right.
But I did like the game, yeah.
We could probably just do a whole episode just talking about Sonic racing games, given that there's been so many that have been made over the years.
I feel like with my community, there could probably be like an 8-hour podcast episode on Sonic. Like, just like, or more.
There's a lot to talk about. Like, I mean, you had
definitely
15 years, give or take, that Nintendo was doing the new Super Mario's everything from the
Yeah.
DS up until like mid. I think Wonder. Yeah, I think it was Wonder was the first non 2D new Super Mario Bros. Game since the
God,
DS was a
jeez.
thing. So, like, when people talk about Sonic and how there's all these crazy games, that's because they didn't find a formula in the same time Nintendo did. So you get like that bifurcation. One of the OG platforming old guards had the same thing for 15 years, and the other didn't know what to do for 15 years.
All
Yeah,
right.
and that's
Well,
of course not talking about all the multimedia projects that Sonic's been involved in too. I mean, you could do a whole 8-hour podcast just on the insanity that was Archie Sonic, or
Right.
Oh my
or
God.
just
That
or
rabbit
just
hole.
like or all the different Sonic cartoons and animes.
Right. Yeah, no, yeah, Sonic. I'm just gonna rename this Sonic Reloaded. I think we're on something. I think we I think we have a better show here. No, yeah, thank you all for coming on, and I really
Yeah.
appreciate your time.
And
It's a
I
lot
do
of
want to
fun doing
mention.
this.
I do want to mention that I do plan to post some more like reviews and stuff, just gaming related things on my YouTube. I'm still like kind of like figuring out and thinking like what do I want this to be? Uh, you know?
Sure. Yeah, yeah. You're still kind of like finding like what your niche is in the YouTube space. Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
that. Yeah. So go check out Leon's YouTube. It's Leanne64. Just even though there's not that many videos yet, just maybe give a follow, subscribe, and wait for some more content. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you all. Thank you again. Well, folks, that's game over for this episode of Retro Reloaded. Thanks for joining me on this retro adventure. If you loved today's trip down memory lane, then consider helping me keep the nostalgia alive by supporting me on Patreon at patreon.com/retro Reloaded. You'll get early episodes, bonus content, and a chance to pick the next game that we reload. Feel free to let me know your thoughts about the podcast, and until next time, keep those controllers charged.